Many years ago, a young boy was walking through a village with his grandfather. They passed a man sitting under a tree weeping. The boy asked, "Grandpa, why is he crying?" The grandfather paused and replied, "Because he believes life is something that happens to him, but he has not yet learned that he happens to life. Life is not something out there, separate from us. It is not waiting for the stars to align, or for people to treat us better, or for the perfect job to fall into our lap. Life is the accumulation of choices, small, consistent choices that we make every single day. There was once a king who invited a wise sage to his court and asked, "What is the greatest power a human being possesses?" The sage smiled and said, "The power to choose. You see, every moment you have a choice. How to respond, how to think, how to act. Even when situations seem out of your control, your attitude, your reaction, and your mindset are still completely yours. That's the true freedom." A man once asked a monk, "How do I build a better life?" The monk simply replied, "Brick by brick, choice by choice." Some of us are waiting for motivation to strike. But motivation is not the fire that starts your journey. It is the result of you making consistent choices, even when you don't feel like it. Do you want to live a peaceful life? Choose forgiveness. Do you want to live a fulfilling life? Choose purpose over pleasure. Do you want to live a meaningful life? Choose service over selfishness. We blame others, we blame circumstances, and yes, sometimes life has been unfair, but no matter how many storms come our way, we can choose how we sail. Some build walls, others build windmills. Ask yourself, what do you want to become? Not what do you want to have, but what kind of person do you want to be because who you become is the product of what you consistently choose. So today, pause, breathe, reflect, and remind yourself, your life is your choice. You are not helpless. You are powerful. You are not a victim. You are the artist of your life's canvas. And the best part is you get to choose the next stroke. Life doesn't just happen to us. We happen to life. That is a truth many people overlook while navigating their today's struggles. Often, we go through life reacting to problems, reacting to people, reacting to pain. It feels as though the world is moving us around like a chess piece without our say. But in that mindset, we surrender our power. We begin to believe that life is something external, a force that operates upon us, tossing us into situations we never chose. Yet, if we pause for a moment and reflect, ours to be in Thee, we'll realize that much of where we are today has come from choices we made. Some consciously, others unconsciously. The way we treat people, how we respond to criticism, the energy we bring into a room, the habits we form, the words we speak, all of it shapes the reality we live in. Imagine two people going through the same storm. One chooses to see it as a reason to grow, while the other chooses to see it as punishment. Their realities become different, not because of the storm itself, but because of how they chose to interpret and respond to it. The person who believes they are simply a victim of life's randomness never discovers the power within them. But the person who believes they are a participant in life's unfolding begins to make different decisions, more deliberate, more grounded, more purposeful. When we take responsibility for our life, not in the sense of blaming ourselves for everything, but in the sense of owning our response, we start to realize how much influence we actually hold. Every action, even every thought is like a seed we plant. Over time, these seeds grow into the life we experience. So, life is not just a series of random events. It is a reflection of what we've nurtured inside us and the actions we've repeated day after day. So, no, life doesn't just happen to us. We are not passive spectators. We are active participants, sculptors shaping our future, moment by moment, choice by choice. The power to choose is the greatest human strength. It's not something external that can be taken away, and it's not something granted only to a few. It is a silent, constant force within every one of us. Yet, so many people underestimate because they're too busy trying to control things outside themselves. We often focus on trying to change the people around us, the situations we are in, or the circumstances we were born into. But true strength lies not in controlling everything but in how we choose to respond when we can't. Imagine being stuck in traffic. You can't control the speed of the cars or the signal light, but you can choose whether to be frustrated or to use that moment to listen to something uplifting. That small decision may seem insignificant, but multiply it by every other reaction in your day. How you respond to someone's rudeness, how you speak to yourself when you fail, how you carry yourself in adversity, and you begin to see how powerful your choices actually are. They form the architecture of your inner world. Even in the harshest of environments, history has shown us individuals who refuse to surrender their power to choose. Prisoners of war, spiritual leaders, people who lost everything. They found strength not in their circumstances, but in their decisions. They chose not to hate. They chose not to give up. They chose not to become bitter. And in doing so, they became free even while bound. That is the kind of power choice holds. It gives us a quiet, unshakable freedom in thee. We may not always be able to choose the weather outside, but we can always choose the climate within. That is the beginning of inner strength, not brute force, but the gentleness of self-control, the clarity of conscious decisions, and the discipline to respond rather than react. It's not about pretending everything is fine. It's about saying, ooh, even if it's not fine, I still get to choose how I will face it. This power lives in you, in thee. In each pause between stimulus and response, there lies a sacred space. A moment where you decide. In that moment, you write the next chapter of your life. And the more aware you become of that space, the more powerful your life becomes, not because the world outside changed, but because you discovered your deepest source of strength, the power to choose. Our future is built choice by choice, like bricks building a wall. Most people look at successful lives, happy relationships, or inner peace and assume they were the result of a few big decisions. A career leap, a marriage, a spiritual awakening. But in truth, those outcomes are rarely shaped by grand, dramatic choices. They are built slowly, quietly, and consistently by the small decisions that we make every single day in the. Just like a sturdy wall isn't created by placing one giant stone in the, but by patiently laying brick after brick with care and attention. Our future is constructed moment by moment, choice by choice. Think of your daily life. You wake up in the morning. Do you choose to begin your day with gratitude or with complaints? That's a brick. You interact with someone who irritates you. Do you choose patience or anger? Another brick. You have free time. Do you spend it scrolling mindlessly or learning something new? Brick. These seemingly ordinary decisions are not insignificant. They are the raw material of your future. Just as the quality of bricks determines the strength of a building, the quality of your choices determines the strength of your life's foundation. Some people think they will change their life when a big opportunity comes. But the truth is, to be in those opportunities only reveal what you've been building all along. When life tests you, and it always does, your habits, mindset, and values are what you fall back on. And those are built through repeated decisions made when no one's watching. The person who disciplines themselves daily, who chooses honesty over shortcuts, kindness over sarcasm, focus over distraction. That person doesn't need to wait for a miracle. They are becoming the miracle. We often underestimate the power of consistency. Making a great decision once is good, but making a good decision again and again, especially when it's hard or inconvenient, that's what sets a person apart. Just like you don't get physically strong by going to the gym once. You don't become emotionally or mentally strong by choosing well occasionally. Growth is the result of commitment to the process, not to perfection, but to persistence. So ask yourself, what kind of bricks am I laying each day? Are they strengthening my foundation or weakening it? Am I building something that will stand when life shakes me? Because whether we are aware of it or not, we are all building something. The question is, will we be proud of the structure when it's complete? Or will we regret the way we built it? Your future isn't a mystery waiting to be unlocked. It's a masterpiece waiting to be constructed. One decision, one brick, one intentional moment at a time. Waiting for perfect circumstances is a trap many fall into without even realizing it. We convince ourselves that we'll start making better decisions once things calm down, or once we feel more motivated, or once life becomes easier. But if we're honest, that perfect moment rarely, if ever, arrives. Life is unpredictable. It brings responsibilities, distractions, challenges, and uncertainties. And if we're waiting for some ideal environment, before we take control of our lives, we may spend our entire lifetime waiting. The truth is, growth doesn't wait for calm skies. It happens in the storms. Imagine a person who wants to get healthy. They tell themselves they'll start eating better and exercising once their workload reduces. Once their family obligations ease up, once they feel more energetic. But those delays stack up. Days become weeks, weeks become months, and suddenly years have passed. And the person is stuck in the same place, still waiting. Now contrast that with someone who chooses to begin you today, right in the middle of their mess. Maybe with just 10 minutes of walking or one healthy meal. That small step may not seem impressive, but it's more momentum. And momentum is far more powerful than motivation. Motivation is not lightning from the sky It's a spark created by movement. When you choose to act despite discomfort, despite distraction, you awaken a different part of yourself. The part that's not controlled by circumstances, but led by purpose. This is how inner strength is built. Not by finding the perfect conditions, but by choosing to move forward in imperfect ones. In fact, the belief that we need perfect conditions before we can improve becomes an excuse. It gives us false comfort. It allows us to avoid the discomfort of effort by saying, now isn't the right time. But if we dig deeper, it's not really about timing. It's about fear, about hesitation, about self-doubt. The idea of perfection becomes a shield we hide behind so we don't have to face the vulnerable act of beginning. Every successful person you've ever admired didn't wait for the stars to align. They began with what they had, where they were, as they were. Their circumstances may have been messy, chaotic or discouraging, but they didn't let that become an excuse. They let it become their starting point. So instead of chasing a future moment where everything feels easy and clear, choose to begin now, even if it's messy, even if it's uncertain, even if you don't feel ready, Because readiness doesn't come before action, it comes through it. When you take one step, clarity follows. When you take another, confidence grows. And soon, you realize that progress was never about perfection. It was about persistence. The waiting ends the moment you choose. The quality of life is shaped by the values we choose to prioritize. In a world overflowing with distractions, trends, and noise, it's easy to live reactively, pulled by what's popular, urgent, or pleasurable in the moment, without truly pausing to ask, what do I want my life to stand for? What are the values I'm choosing every day, consciously or unconsciously, that are shaping my reality? Because whether we realize it or not, we all live by certain values. And those values influence our decisions, our relationships, our peace of mind, and ultimately the legacy we leave behind. When a person consistently chooses temporary pleasure over long-term purpose, they may feel satisfied for a moment, but over time, that choice begins to hollow them out. They scroll through their phones for hours, seeking validation or entertainment, but later feel empty. They chase convenience over character, and though it may feel easy, it lacks depth. On the other hand, A person who chooses values like discipline, kindness, integrity, and service, even when it's hard, may not experience instant gratification, but they build a life with substance. Imagine two individuals walking similar paths. One prioritizes their ego, needing to be right, needing to be seen, needing to win. The other prioritizes humility, choosing to listen more than they speak, to grow rather than argue, to serve rather than show off. Over time, the first person may gain followers, applause, or status, but feel disconnected internally. The second person, though less loud in the world, gains something far more precious: inner peace and deep connection with others. Our values act like a compass. They guide our choices, especially in difficult situations. When you're hurt, do you choose revenge or forgiveness? When you're successful, do you choose pride or gratitude? When you're in doubt, do you choose fear or courage? These are not just emotional reactions. They are value-based decisions. And over time, they define not only who we are, but how we experience life itself. You can tell what values someone is living by not from what they say, but from what they repeatedly do. Do they show up when it's inconvenient? Do they keep their word when no one is watching? Do they treat others with respect even when they get nothing in return? These daily actions reflect the internal blueprint they have chosen. And that blueprint is what constructs the quality of their life. Ours to be in the. What's empowering is that you get to choose your values in thee. You don't have to inherit them from your surroundings. I don't have us to be in the. You don't have to follow the world's definition of success. You can choose simplicity over status, depth over display, peace over popularity, compassion over competition. And when you consistently live by values that are aligned with your true self, life becomes more meaningful. Not because it gets easier, but because it becomes true. The difference between a life that is chaotic and one that is grounded often comes down to which values are leading the way. When our values are clear, our choices become easier. And when our choices are aligned with our values, we experience a kind of harmony that no external achievement can offer. Blame limits growth. Choice enables freedom. This is one of the most challenging truths to embrace, because blaming others, often our natural response when things go wrong, it gives us temporary relief, makes us feel like the victim, and shifts responsibility away from ourselves. It's easy to say, I failed because of my parents. I'm angry because of what they did. Or I'm stuck because life has been unfair to me. While these statements might contain truth, they also carry a hidden weight. They keep us powerless. They place the steering wheel of our lives into someone else's hands. And as long as someone else is driving, we cannot move in the direction we want to go. Blame feels safe in the. It protects our ego. It helps us avoid the discomfort of accountability. But in doing so, it builds invisible walls around us. Walls that stop us from growing, evolving, and rising above our circumstances. Think of it like this in the. If someone else is always responsible for your failure or unhappiness, then your happiness is permanently dependent on them changing. But what if they never change? What if life never gets fairer? Then what? Do we spend years of our life waiting for someone else to fix what's broken inside us? That is where the power of choice comes in. When we stop pointing fingers outward and start looking inward, something powerful happens. We realize that while we may not have caused every pain in our life, we all can choose how we respond to it. That shift from reaction to responsibility is the beginning of real freedom, because responsibility doesn't mean fault. It means ownership. It means saying, this happened to me, but I choose how to carry it forward. I choose what meaning I give it. I choose what kind of person I become because of it. Imagine a person who's gone through betrayal, failure or trauma. One version of them stays in blame. They keep replaying what happened, feeding their bitterness, and building an identity around what was done to them. Another version chooses to feel the pain, yes, but also to rise beyond it. They choose to grow stronger, more empathetic, more purposeful because of what they endured. The past remains the same, but the outcome becomes entirely different because of one decision not to stay stuck in blame. Blame creates stagnation. Choice creates transformation. And every day, we are given that choice, whether to be defined by what happened to us or to be refined by how we rise beyond it. Blame may bring sympathy from others, but it never brings growth. It keeps our energy locked in the past, while choice frees us to step into the future. The greatest breakthroughs in life don't come when others finally say sorry or when circumstances finally become favorable. They come the moment we stop waiting and start choosing to take our power back, to forgive, to heal, to try again, and to become more than what life threw at us. So we must ask ourselves honestly, am I blaming someone or something for where I am in life right now? And more importantly, what would happen if I stopped? Because the path to freedom is paved not with excuses, but with decisions. Obstacles are not roadblocks, but opportunities to choose strength. It's natural to see challenges as interruptions, unwanted detours that pull us away from our desired path. But life, in its deepest wisdom, doesn't work that way. It's not always smooth or predictable, and it was never meant to be. The very fabric of our growth is woven through discomfort, struggle, and resistance, much like a muscle that only strengthens through tension. We too develop our true strength not in ease, but in effort, not in comfort, but in challenge. When something difficult enters your life, a failure, a heartbreak, a rejection, a loss, you're immediately faced with a choice. Will you let this obstacle define you, or will you use it to refine you? This decision, made quietly in the solitude of your heart, is what separates stagnation from transformation. Because while you may not have chosen the obstacle, you always have the power to choose your posture toward it. Think of a river meeting a rock. The water doesn't stop flowing. It doesn't retreat or complain. It flows around the rock. It reshapes the path. Over time, it even smooths the rock itself. That's what resilience looks like. Not avoiding the obstacle, but learning to move with it. To find a way through, around, or beyond it without losing your essence. Every time life presents a challenge, it also presents a mirror. It reflects back who you are in that moment and invites you to become more. Maybe it's patience you're being called to develop. Maybe it's courage. Maybe it's humility. Obstacles are not just barriers. They teach us asking, what is the strength you've been neglecting to cultivate? What are you being asked to awaken within yourself now? The truth is, strength is not built in theory, it's built in practice. When you choose to keep going after disappointment, when you choose to stay kind in the face of cruelty, when you choose to hope in the darkness, these choices are not dramatic. They are quiet, often unnoticed by the world. But over time, they transform you. They give you a depth and stability that no comfort zone can offer. And just like in nature, where trees that grow in harsh conditions develop deeper roots, you too grow deeper in character through what you endure. Every setback you've survived has secretly made you stronger. Every mountain you've climbed has stretched your limits. And every obstacle you faced offered you the sacred chance to build something eternal within yourself. Resilience, integrity, wisdom, and perspective. So the next time an obstacle appears, don't simply ask, why me? Ask instead, what is life trying to show me? What strength am I being invited to choose today? Because while we don't get to choose every storm we do get to choose how we stand in it. And that choice, again and again, becomes our strength. Success is more about becoming than achieving. This idea might feel counterintuitive in a world obsessed with results, with numbers, titles, trophies, and followers. From a young age, we're taught to chase outcomes, good grades, a high-paying job, social validation, and public recognition. The focus is almost entirely on what you achieve. But somewhere along the way we start to notice a quiet truth. You can have all the achievements in the world and still feel lost, restless, or incomplete. Why? Because success that only exists on the outside, without internal transformation, is shallow and unsustainable. The real measure of success is not just how much you accumulate or how high you climb. It's who you become along the way. Do your victories bring pride or peace? Are you gaining wisdom with your wins? Are you becoming more kind, more humble, more patient, more grounded with each milestone? Because if you achieve the world, but lose your character, your relationships, or your sense of purpose, then what have you really gained? Think of a person who achieves wealth, status, or recognition but becomes arrogant, disconnected, and lonely. Yes, they may be admired but are they truly fulfilled? Now consider someone who may not have flashy achievements, but who shows up every day with integrity, who grows through their challenges, and who stays aligned with their values. That person is becoming something rare and powerful. That's the essence of true success. Life is not just about getting somewhere. It's about growing into someone. Every challenge, every setback, every small win along your journey is sculpting you. It's carving your character. It's revealing your resilience. The most successful people are not those who only conquered goals, but those who allowed the process to shape their soul. They let their struggles make them stronger. They let their failures teach them grace. They let the waiting develop their patience. When we shift our focus from what am I achieving to what am I becoming, everything changes. The pressure to always win begins to fade. The need to compare disappears because the path becomes personal. It's not about being better than someone else. It's about being better than the person you were yesterday. That kind of growth is quiet, internal, and steady, but it lasts. It nourishes you from within. We live in a world where it's easy to fake success, to look good on the surface, to display curated moments of greatness. But becoming cannot be faked. It shows up in how you treat people, in how you speak, in how you respond when no one is watching. It shows up in your stillness, in your values, in your ability to find meaning beyond the material. So instead of just chasing results, we must start cultivating character. Instead of only measuring how far we've gone, we must reflect on how much we've grown. Because real success is not a finish line you cross. It's a transformation you live through. And that transformation begins not with the goals you set, but with the kind of person you choose to become on the way there. Self-awareness enhances the quality of our choices. In a world filled with distractions and noise, we often act on autopilot, making decisions based on impulse, emotion, habit, or the expectations of others. We scroll, react, commit, avoid, indulge, and speak without pausing to ask, why am I doing this? What's truly driving this choice? Without self-awareness, we become passengers in our own lives, going wherever the winds of emotion, fear, and external pressure blow us. But the moment we slow down and become conscious, truly conscious of what's happening inside us, our entire experience begins to change. Self-awareness is like a light shining inward. It helps us see the hidden motivations behind our actions, the unspoken wounds that shape our behavior and the subtle patterns we've repeated for years without question. It doesn't judge, it simply reveals. And with that clarity comes power. When you understand why you do what you do, you gain the ability to choose differently. You are no longer bound by reactive habits or unconscious conditioning. You begin to live with intention. Think of someone who constantly lashes out in anger. Without self-awareness, they may justify their reactions. I'm just being honest. Or, they made me mad. But a self-aware person takes a step back and asks, what is this anger really about? Am I reacting to this moment or to a deeper pain I've been carrying? That simple pause can be transformative. It opens up the possibility of responding with maturity instead of emotion, of choosing growth over reactivity. Self-awareness is also what helps us align our actions with our values. You may say you value peace, but if you're constantly caught in conflict, your choices are out of sync. You may say you want meaningful relationships, but if you're avoiding vulnerability, there's a disconnect. Only when you become aware of these gaps can you begin to close them. And when your inner world starts aligning with your outer behavior, that's when integrity is born, and with it, a deeper sense of fulfillment. Another gift of self-awareness is emotional intelligence. It allows you to name what you're feeling. Not just, I'm upset, but I feel unappreciated or afraid of being rejected. That clarity not only helps you make better decisions for yourself, but it also allows you to communicate more honestly with others. Your relationships deepen, your conflicts reduce, your empathy increases because you're not just living in reaction to the world, you're bringing consciousness into every interaction. Developing self-awareness isn't a one-time event. It's a lifelong practice. It happens in silence, in reflection, in journaling, in honest conversations, in observing your own thoughts without rushing to defend or justify. It's not always comfortable. Sometimes it reveals things we'd rather not see, like our insecurities, our flaws, our self-deception. But that discomfort is sacred. It's the birthplace of transformation. The more self-aware you become, the more freedom you have in your choices. You begin to move from compulsion to clarity, from habit to intention. You stop being a puppet of your past and start becoming the conscious creator of your present. Because in the end, the quality of your life is not just about what you choose, but how clearly you see before you choose. Every moment gives us a new opportunity to write a better story. This is one of the most liberating truths about life. No matter what you've done, where you've been, or how many mistakes you've made, you're not stuck. You're not locked into a single identity, narrative, or path. Life is constantly unfolding, and with each breath, you are being handed a blank page. The question is, will you keep writing the same old story out of habit, fear, or regret? Or will you dare to write something new, something more aligned with who you want to become? We often carry our past like a heavy book we're afraid to close. Maybe it's filled with chapters of failure, shame, or missed opportunities. And because we've read those pages over and over again we assume that the rest of the book must follow the same plot. But that's not how life works. Your past can shape you, but it does not define you. It's not a prophecy, it's a reference point. The pen is still in your hands. Sometimes people say things like, this is just who I am, or people like me don't change. But those are beliefs, not facts. They're stories we've told ourselves so often that we mistake them for truth. The reality is, we can choose differently, not once, but repeatedly. You can decide that today, is the day you stop holding on to resentment. You can decide that today you'll show up with courage instead of doubt. And the beauty is that even the smallest shift in your daily choices can lead to a radically different life over time. Consider someone who has lived years in fear. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough. That fear may have shaped their story so far, causing them to stay small, stay silent, or stay stuck. But in one conscious moment of courage, applying for a job, saying, "I forgive you," speaking up for themselves, they turn the page. That act, no matter how quiet, begins a new chapter. One that's written in bravery, not fear. And once you experience that kind of change, even in the smallest way, you begin to understand the truth. Transformation doesn't need permission. It needs a decision. The past doesn't erase your right to grow. The opinions of others don't cancel your potential. And your age, background, or current circumstances do not limit what you're capable of becoming. What matters most is the choice you make right now. Because this moment is not meaningless. It's a seed. And every time you choose to live with intention instead of repetition, you plant something new in the soil of your life. Over time, those seeds become patterns, and those patterns shape a story you'll be proud of. Not because it's perfect, but because it's real, it's evolving, and it's yours. You are the author. And no matter what the last sentence was, you always have the power to write the next one with more clarity, more courage, and more hope.